Chapter 5, Night of the Living Bones. Of course, finding the secret chamber and the skeleton gave Dana's life a little more glamour. She became a local hero at Thorough Middle School on Monday when everyone was buzzing about the Night of the Living Bones. Who killed her? Kids at the lunch table wondered, and Mike Grubber acted like the chief detective on the case. We've got to get to the bottom of this. Well, Mike, it's not like there's a killer running loose around Lawrence, Dana reminded him. The girl has been dead about 135 years. Anne said, she has a name, you know. She bit into her taco and meat flew everywhere. You know her actual name? Sally Benedetti asked. Of course, Anne answered, because Dana and I named her. She's Elvira Lincoln. So then the whole 7th grade was talking about Elvira, with just a hint of awe, as though she were an 8th grader, someone ready to move into high school next year. Wasn't Elvira wearing any clothes? Derek Boyles asked. Not even underwear? I guess it all rotted off of her like her flesh, Dana explained. They found a few scraps of cotton that looked like rags that had been through the washer about 10,000 times, and a little crock, and that's all. Not a word about the diary. It is so sad, Sally mused. I mean, she died all alone in that room. No one to hold her hand. Mike asked, how do you know that? Maybe she was already dead and someone dumped her in that room to hide the body. Maybe that's why they can't find any clothes. What do you think, Jeep? Yeah, Jeep, you haven't said a word about Elvira. All the kids said. Jeep Jeffries slurped his canned peaches while everyone waited for his reply. Speak to us, O prophet Jeep. We're hanging on every word. Dana thought Jeep's dark skin looked pale and dusty today. Maybe it was his new haircut. No more square afro. Now his hair was cut right up close to his scalp. Or maybe he didn't like talking about dead bodies while he ate. They all stared at him a minute until he shoved his tray across the table and said, Get off my back. Hey, what's the matter? Derek asked. What did I do? Not you, Derek. You're not the center of the universe, Mike reminded him. They watched Jeep dump his leftover green beans and stewed tomatoes in the trash and slid his tray onto the conveyor belt. Hey, where are you going? Mike yelled across the table. Jeep came back to the table and straddled the bench. Okay, this pile of bones, this Elvira, she was a slave, right? So how come you think that's so funny? Sorry, man, they all murmured. But in another minute, they were bursting with more questions about Elvira. Whether she was married or dating anyone special, whether she'd been from a plantation in Georgia or Mississippi, whether she'd run off or been chased off, whether she died in the room or been killed somewhere else and carried there. This is sick, Jeep muttered, and he went to the gym to shoot baskets. Dana didn't even tell her best friend Anne about the diary. On the night of the living bones, the police and city people hadn't cleared out until 10 o'clock. Then her parents were watching some 1930s movie downstairs. The black and white images flickered on the window opposite the TV. I'm going to bed, Dana said, forcing up a yawn. Upstairs, she locked her door and finally had a chance to look at the small black book. The title page was yellowed, but the words were written in a tight, economical script, very black and straight. Notes from the Underground, 1856 to ? By Millicent Weaver. Dana turned to page 1. April 25th, 1856. The first ones have been here, and if thou hast been with them, they are well on their way to Canada. The eyes of that puny little boy were enough to convince me that I'm doing what I must, though Mr. Weaver would rightly disapprove. In all my years of matrimony, I've not kept secrets from Caleb, but I believe I am answering thy call. Please shelter James and Rebecca as we are sheltering the Negroes. Lord, what have we gotten ourselves into? Guys? Dana's parents were enraptured by the shades of black and white on the TV screen. Their robot arms moved from popcorn bowl to mouth. Mom? Dad? Her mother shoved the popcorn toward her in an obvious attempt to silence her. If I tell you I found something, you've got to promise to let me keep it, and you've got to promise not to act like parents. It's not a lizard or a bat or anything, is it? No, Mom. Dana grabbed the remote control and zapped the TV off. Her mother yelped, Dana, it's Betty Davis on Jezebel. And this is Dana Shannon and keeping evidence from the police that got their attention. I found a diary in the room. As I suspected, her father said. Let me see it. Dana shook her head. It's hidden, so you can't make me give it up yet. Dr. Baxey said I should find some answers about the bones. I think the journal of Millicent Weaver will help. Her mother said, honey, it's not right to, even if I can't solve the mystery, I'll turn the diary over to Dr. Baxey by July 1st. Deal? Her parents exchanged glances and sealed their own pact. Finally, her father said, it's more than a deal, Dana. It's your solemn word.